This is weird.
I'm like, fuck. But you're living in a fucking dream world.
I'm not going to beat around the bush or make the intro overinflated, as we can all see the title of the video. It's like when you walk into your house and see that your 7-year-old sister has tied up your grandma. I mean, yeah, she probably doesn't want to talk about it, but a conversation definitely needs to be had. I like the Snyder Cut. I like the 4-hour cut of a movie from a director who I'm not very fond of. I haven't liked any Zack Snyder movie that I've seen. I'm not a fan of Watchmen, Sucker Punch, 300, Man of Steel, and obviously Batman v Superman, but somehow, despite the odds, I like the Snyder Cut. Spoilers ahead for Justice League 2, Steppenwolf is pregnant. And yes, I did write this joke so my editor Sam would have to insert some shitty pregnant Steppenwolf deviant art into this video, and unfortunately none exists. Trust me, I spent around 2 hours looking for the Sacred Scrolls, and it's not there. It's not even a thing. Also, I really don't care about comparing the 2017 version of this film. That's not the purpose of a review. I'm here to talk about the movie that was released in 2021, period. If you don't like that, there are plenty of other videos on YouTube talking about the color differences in toe crust between the Whedon and Snyder version of Steppenwolf, and those videos will definitely scratch your itch. The Snyder Cut honestly feels like a film of a more mature director, one that isn't so keen on jerking itself off with bad brain takes on philosophical questions. I honestly feel like Zack looked at his prior films and reevaluated how his movies played in front of a general audience. He hasn't fixed every nagging issue that permeates in most of his films, but he's definitely taken some time to reflect on some aspects. Zack Snyder's Justice League is relatively simple, and that's not an insult. The more complex your movie is, the more parts you add to it, which makes it easier to fuck up, and when one part fucks up, the rest can easily crumble. It's like building a super tall structure. If it works and stands strong, it's gonna be amazing. But if one measurement is wrong or the wrong kind of material is used, that whole bitch is collapsing. It's so much easier to make a simple and compelling film, and I hate the mentality that anything that's simple is automatically bad or dumb. The second half of the Snyder Cut is incredibly simple, and it's easily my favorite part of the film. Hell, My Neighbor Totoro is one of the most simple movies ever created, and that movie fucks. And this Totoro? Oh, you better believe he specifically fucks. Everything about the Snyder Cut is relatively basic and streamlined, at least in the second half. The plot structure, the character motivations, hell, even the dialogue are all simplified. Zack decided that he shouldn't have philosophy professors that printed their degrees have a debate for 4 hours and instead chose to have his characters sound human. And I love that. One of my biggest complaints of BVS was the dialogue style, because I felt that style got in the way of some decent ideas. Lex Luthor in that film, his motivations and backstory are incredibly interesting if looked at in a vacuum. It's just everything else ruins it. That shitty dialogue that talks about how he got God to bend to his knee like some edgy Reddit atheist who says if God is real, he's gonna have to answer to me. That shit's very cringe and I hate it. We get to see in Justice League what an undeterred Zack the Attack Snyder character arc looks like in the form of Flash and Cyborg, who are done beautifully. I absolutely love everything given to the Flash here, and yes, he still has some cringe, quirky pick-me dialogue about his second favorite chair or whatever, but what matters to me is that wonderful arc he's given. He's trying to show his dad that he's not a loser, that he's one of the best of the best. And this kid, and make no mistake, he's basically a kid in terms of demeanor and emotional maturity. I mean, he almost shuts down when his dad asks him not to come see him again. Like he doesn't even have the power to grapple with that idea.
And I want you to stop coming to see me.
Okay, please don't ever say that to me again. Please?
This kid is the person that saves the universe. Without Barry, everything would have failed. He truly is the key here. He honestly just wants to make his dad proud, and he does that. It's simple, it's presented simply, and it's highly effective. Also, the ending sequence with him reversing time is one of the most beautiful visual compositions in comic book movies, and the score...
Just gotta go faster than the speed of light, far beyond the speed of light. You gotta break the rule, Barry, and you've gotta do it now.
Oh boy, I want to kiss Zachary Snyder for that shit. It's fantastic. This might be a sin to say, but I almost love the music more in that scene. It's so unique and cool, and I think it carries the whole thing for me. I believe Barry's arc is enhanced so much by how good of a performance Ezra Miller and Billy Crudup give during that prison sequence. Up to that point, I had been enjoying the Snyder Cut fine enough. Like, it's okay, I guess, but then that scene hit and I was taken aback a bit. Like, damn, Snyder, we really going hard with the character stuff in a way that's interesting and not pretentious. I'm here for it, my guy. Ezra honestly really surprised me in this film, mostly because I couldn't see him as anything other than someone who chokeslams random strangers in Walmart. But in this movie, he chokeslammed my feelings. If we want to talk about performances though, it would be a disservice not to rave over Ray Fisher. Honestly, just fucking wow. And I'm not saying this because of all the allegations and to prop him up because of that stuff, like fuck Whedon, Jeff Johns, and all those hacks for what they put him through, but Ray Fisher gives the best performance in Justice League hands down. I only say this because I'll have some chuds in the comments go, "You only like Ray Fisher's performance to virtue shingle." Please, shut the fuck up, Virgin. I'm honestly convinced some people will never leave the year 2015 and will call their grandchildren SJWs for crying when they burn themselves on the hot stove. What's most surprising is that for a cyborg, he's the most human. He's got this sort of reverse Quasimodo thing going on where his Frollo dad is telling him to go outside and play with the other kids, but the Metal Man of Gotham just wants to stay inside and wipe out Tomato Town. Exploring this loneliness, and especially the anger, and more specifically the anger Cyborg has towards everyone, is incredibly compelling.
Gives. What part of this looks like a gift to you?
I'm a pretty predictable film fan. I like the exploration of human emotions and of character. Sue me, that's why I watch movies. It's the thing I like the most. So it was Cyborg that made the movie for me. His character, his performance, his journey, that's why I watched all 4 hours of the Snyder Cut in one sitting. My favorite moment in his arc is the ending, mostly because of the sound design. We have a character who should be at his most secure with the mother boxes saying they can fix him, and the sound design comes in and amplifies that insecurity.
My broken boy.
You don't have to be alone anymore. We'll be together again.
We can put it back, Vic. Make you whole again.
The unnatural groaning of the machinery that lines his inhuman body, coupled with the heavy steps that no ordinary human can make, and that shit subconsciously impacts both Cyborg as a character and me as an audience member. In Cyborg reaffirming how he isn't broken, how he isn't alone, how he's fine the way he is, that becomes powerful due to the aforementioned aspects. I know you didn't expect to watch porn on YouTube, but you're the one who accidentally clicked on a video that's basically Brown Man unleashes hot load while talking about two big men, so who's to blame here? Also, if we want to talk about some spectacular shit, the action and visual composition here is really good. There's this opening action introduction for Wonder Woman's character, and at one point she blocks a bunch of bullets, and as she does so, she looks like a fucking goblin with the way she moves, and I find it cosmically hilarious. But other than that, the action is pretty metal. I don't have any other descriptors for it besides that. Zack Snyder's Justice League is just the right kind of metal and edgy at times. Like having Batman saying the funny fuck word for no reason is dumb edgy.
I made a mistake. I will fucking kill you.
But Darkseid smashing Steppenwolf's horns off his decapitated head with his big Abby Shapiro-sized stinkers was honestly pretty sick. Also, I know I already touched on Flash as a character, but the way he's shown visually with an after-image effect is honestly really cool. Does it add anything to the story or the character? Not really. Does it make my below average sized little friend transform into a below average sized slightly bigger friend? Yes, it does. The Snyder Cut honestly has some good stuff in it that overall makes me like the film, and if you are anticipating a but, then you, my friend, are 3 steps ahead of the game. I have some major issues with this film, and if you noticed earlier how I specified how I liked the second half a ton, then you could probably guess that I thought the first half was kinda shitty. Snyder's overindulgence is really prevalent in the first half, especially his usage of slow-mo. Here's the key idea. Less is more. It's scientifically proven in cases of drug addiction that you'll never reach the first high you had when you started originally taking that drug, and the more you take that drug, the weaker that high becomes. If you watch a character get decapitated once, it's pretty gnarly, but if a film has 100 people get decapitated, then those decapitations are gonna become very old very fast. Snyder's slow-mo in this film feels like a self-parody, and it loses all of its weight about a third of the way through. And I hate that it loses this weight because of the flash sequence, as incredible as it is, could be just a little bit better if we hadn't slow-moed 10% of the movie prior, which is a real statistic. This is not a meme or a hoo-hoo ha-ha joke. 10% of the film is in fucking slow motion. The Steppenwolf arrival action sequence is one of the biggest offenders of this shit. We have slow-mo sequence after slow-mo sequence happening in the span of almost seconds at times. And it undercuts the cool metal shit like Steppenwolf shoulder checking a horse like a fucking linebacker. The music is also outrageously scuffed in the first half, and it feels like some shit you'd listen to in some shitty abstract student film about how artists should have their balls fondled at all times. You can have cool and interesting music without it sounding pretentious. Zack the Attack Snyder literally does it in the same fucking film. The music for the climactic flash sequence is pretty insane and awesome. It's all about intention and whether that music is genuinely vibing with the scene or whether you are trying to force it. I think Zack is forcing it in the first half. Honestly, I'm mostly just offended that Zack didn't at least ask for my permission before he proceeded to jerk himself off during the first hour and a half of Justice League. I'm being intentionally hyperbolic here, but it really begins to feel like a different film around the midpoint. I think a lot of this is just symptoms of a bigger problem with Justice League, and that's full creative control. Now, that sounds weird, but hear me out. You need to peer review your shit. You need people to come in and say no to the idea that sounds cool in your head, but doesn't work in execution. The prequels are the result of no one ever saying no to George, and those films are really messy because of it. There is a reason why your teachers have you peer review papers. Any chance you can get to have someone else's eyes on a project before you release it, you should honestly take that opportunity. Some directors can do amazing shit without the need for this collaborative process of reworking, but Zack isn't one of them. Zack is a talented filmmaker with cool ideas, but he desperately needed someone to help him tinker with the first half, and for the love of all that is holy, make some fucking cuts. The film feels so bloated, but also weirdly empty at times. Like, we have a 4-hour flick with 2 characters, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, getting jack shit to do. Some of the scenes in Justice League feel wildly unnecessary. I'm not even saying it should have been cut down to 2 hours flat. Like, even 1 hour of cuts would have made this film fucking click, man. If you want to do a 4-hour film, that is entirely fine, but everything needs to matter. The Irishman is about tree fitty long, and every scene in that film is necessary and impactful. Zack Snyder was so preoccupied with whether he could make a 4-hour movie about Darkseid doing the cha-cha slide, he never asked if he should. I do want to circle back to Aquaman and Wonder Woman real quick though. I'm just a bit astonished at how they have pretty much nothing going on throughout the film. I guess Aquaman's character learns to help people, specifically the Justice League, but
You're welcome. Okay.
Newsflash, she's literally shown helping people at the beginning of the film. He's got some sort of conflict going on with Atlantis that feels like an advertisement for James Wan's Aquaman rather than a full-fledged character arc. I mean, at least something is attempted with Aquaman. At least I think there was something attempted. Wonder Woman just has nothing. She had that shitty Amazon orgasm music that would play anytime she so much as farted, and she said,
Oh, This one will be mine.
I belong to no one.
Which, admittedly, that line was kind of cool. But other than that, I cannot for the life of me remember anything she was given to do. Oh yeah, I also think she gave some exposition to Bruce about how the mother box were forged, but I'm not even speaking with 100% confidence on that because I cannot recall. I'm being very genuine here, I cannot recall anything she does. Speaking of Bruce though, he was fine. His little arc about Faith was nice. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about him.
He'll be here, Alfred, I know it.
What makes you so sure?
Faith, Alfred. Faith.
It could have been highlighted more, I guess, but I'm not gonna shit my pampers over something that's relatively inoffensive. Steppenwolf kind of falls into the same boat for me. His failure and insecurity over that failure could have been explored in a little bit of a different way to be more compelling, but I do kind of like his animalistic tendencies and his voice. If you want to present a sympathetic villain and tell the audience that, hey, this man with the funny organic armor feels emotions and fails just like us, maybe you'd want to actually show those emotions in a compelling way. I do like what the animators did with Steppenwolf during his chats with Zod and Darkseid, but those are really the only times we get a glimpse into his motivation. Speaking of Darkseid, he's fine. He didn't really matter to the story, so he didn't really need to be shown, but the comic Coomer in me is just glad we finally got a live-action Darkseid that isn't whatever the fuck Smallville was trying to do. Also, Darkseid, as I mentioned earlier, literally smashes the horn off Steppenwolf's decapitated head with just his foot. So honestly, I can't criticize him. Lastly, and I've been saving this for last because I don't quite understand the scene myself, but I feel contractually obligated to talk about the Joker sequence. It's, odd? I don't know if there's another way to put it.
Besides, who's gonna give you a reach around?
Yeah, there isn't another way to put it besides, it's just kind of fucking odd. There is some nice dialogue like the Boy Wonder line, but it's mostly just weird, and not a cool and interesting kind of weird, more just off-putting and awkward kind of weird. Jared Leto has this laugh that sounds like a cabinet door creaking, and I genuinely don't understand the decision behind it. At this point, Jared Leto just can't give us a good Joker. He shouldn't be allowed to be Joker on a plane, he shouldn't allowed to be Joker on a train. He shouldn't be allowed to be Joker here or there, he shouldn't be allowed to be Joker anywhere. And on that note, I've officially signed government documents that make Jared Leto illegal. He's just illegal now. Overall, I did enjoy my experience with the Snyder Cut. It's nowhere near perfect and is even bad at points, but when this film shines, I think it shines pretty bright. I'm hoping Zack Snyder continues to improve as a filmmaker because he seems to be a very nice dude and has done a lot of great charity work throughout this release cycle. I'm giving Zack Snyder's Justice League a 6 out of 10. I liked it.
I'm like, wake the fuck up!
Have a great day, everyone. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends. Every share will give you a free ticket to the Wonka Chocolate Factory, where you most likely will fucking die. It honestly astounds me that Wonka hasn't been investigated by OSHA. Please subscribe and like the video if you haven't already. Farewell.